anytime you're actually wanting to make sense of the opportunities around side, this is a great framework to use to scan opportunities. What is the kind of information that I have that most people don't, that I can use? Or what is it that I can do that if I fail, I can fail less, but if I win, I can win bigger? Make sense? So any single thing you want to build in this world, it can be tested before it can be built. And if you test it and it doesn't work, perfect. You just find out that there is an idea that people are not willing to buy and you didn't invest a lot of money into that. So it's a framework I want you guys to adopt. Anytime you think about the idea, just put a spreadsheet together, put out a Google Doc, just build a landing page. Let people go to the traffic, see how excited they are about it. If they are not excited, move on to the next idea before you can waste a lot of time into something that people don't actually want. All right, welcome to this new edition. So if you're watching this, you might be an entrepreneur or you are aspiring to be an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurship for me is really that thing that I pretty much didn't choose. I would say it chose me. So you see that thing that you always try to walk away from, but either way, you find yourself pigeonholing yourself back into that thing. So for me, it's been that. And I said that I didn't have any other choice, but rather to learn it, to understand it, and practice it, and level up the game. So I actually try to learn from the best because that's the best thing you can do. If you want to learn something, the easiest path you can take is to see who has done this before and how can I model that path, yeah? So I try to learn the best entrepreneurs on the planet. What do they think, do, decide, feel, act, so that I can actually make sense of how do I practice this thing called entrepreneurship and make the most out of it. So today, I'm going to share with you some of the lessons that have stood out for me, the principles and frameworks that have actually stood the test of time, that over time you see these principles still working, irrelevant of time, space, or context, yeah? And that's what I'm about to share. So, first thing, there is probably this long debate about whether you should love what you do or whether you should do what you love. Long debate, let's settle it today. If you actually learn more about business, you'll get to a point where you mature into understanding that the best businesses are the businesses that work, period, yeah? And this idea that you should do what you love, I believe it's for amateurs. I believe it's for the people that are still finding their way around, who still think that what you do should fit, what you love should be the fuel to becoming successful. But the more you actually dig deeper, the more you find out that amateurs do what they love, but professionals, they love what they do. And as an entrepreneur, it's not about the love you have for the things you do, it's about showing up because you said you will. And over time, when you actually tap into the mindset of not just doing what you love, but loving what you do, even the love comes along the way. So, first lesson that got me off the hook, off the lazy back side of me, is to escape this conformity and this seeking peace and perfectionism of what is it that I love, what is my purpose, what is my identity, what should I be doing with my life, and go to the other side of saying, okay, whatever that I'm stuck with, I'm gonna do the best that I can. And those are the best entrepreneurs. They'll not tell you that, oh, I grew up loving tech, I grew up loving this. No, I saw an opportunity, I took it, and along the way, I actually felt the love for it. So, first lesson, if you actually want to be an entrepreneur or you want to maximize the idea of entrepreneurship, get from the side of doing what you love and embrace the side of loving what you do. Whatever that you're working on, do it. Do it with love and eventually it will work. First. Second, as much as you obsess over what's going to change, what's new, and you find people asking themselves, oh, what is trending? What is something new? What is the next big thing? I found that a standing principle, rather than asking what's changing, you should try to ask yourself, what's not going to change? What is it going to last for a lifetime? Instead of always obsessing over the next thing, the next new AI, the next new big trend, just go back to the first principles. What is it that people are not going to still want, ever? And the more you actually think that, the more you think long term, because you escape this territory of always chasing shiny objects and just go back to principles. Like if you ask yourself, is there going to be a time where people are going to not need to be well taken care of as customers? No. Is there a time where customers will say, I want my products to delay for me to get them? No. So it's the first principles. So rather than just always thinking about what's new or what's changing, start thinking long term. What is it that it's not going to change? And when you start thinking like that, actually, that's how you can build even a lasting business. Because you're building on something that's not a shiny object, but rather something that is going to stand the test of time. Yeah? Perfect. So, the third lesson I learned about all successful entrepreneurs, they have two things. One is asymmetry information. Two is asymmetry upside. Asymmetry information is the idea that you have access to the knowledge that most people don't have. You know something that most people don't. Therefore, as a product of knowing something that others don't, you use it as a leverage. For instance, if you have the information that there is a new policy where private cars can be driven public, you can build an app like Uber where people can start to commercialize their own cars because you have the asymmetry information. You know something that other people don't, then you can use it as a lever to pull. Make sense? Second is asymmetry upside, meaning you have an advantage that you can fail solo, but when you win, you can win so big. For instance, if there is a new startup that you can see a lot of potential in, and maybe you're asked to invest $500, the most you can lose is $500. But guess what? The most you can win is infinitely larger. You can win 100, 1,000x much. Like if you see people who invested early on in Bitcoin, like if you were to lose, the most you could lose is your $5, $10, $20. But the most you could win is infinitely larger. So anytime you're actually wanting to make sense of the opportunities around side, this is a great framework to use to scan opportunities. What is the kind of information that I have that most people don't, that I can use? Or what is it that I can do that if I fail, I can fail less, but if I win, I can win bigger? Make sense? So that's something that I've learned about entrepreneurs, that if we embrace that opportunity framework, the world is actually limitless. 4, there is a new book outside of on the market. It's called $1 Million Weekend. It's by Noah Kagan. And it's a book that spoke to me, more relevant than most of the books I've read in a lifetime, because it resonates with me. It's actually who I am. And the guiding principle there is that you have to test business as fast as you can. Now, there is a lot of this perfectionist way of doing business where you have to come up with ideas, come up with plans, come up with market research, and do all of that work before you launch the product. And this book is simply about the idea that before you went on to invest anything further in an idea or a product or a service, test it. See if the market wants it first, then go back and build it. This is what everybody does. I don't know why we don't do it. Elon Musk does it. The guy literally raised millions of dollars on a Cybertruck that he didn't even have in the store. He sold the idea that I can build this car, and people put down a deposit before the car is built, and now he went to the bank with this validation of the people who voted the idea with their money, and the bank said, if these people want it, we'll give you the money to build it. So he didn't use any of his money. It's just by coming up with an idea, look if the audience will actually love the idea before you went into the rabbit hole of digging into the product, and then later on only to find out that nobody wants the product. So ask the market, and many times when you see this, people will say, yeah, do it, then I will buy. But when you do it, they don't buy. So the only way you can validate if they actually buy is if they put down a deposit. Okay, if you can buy, then put down $10, $20, $50, $100 deposit and see if you can actually vote this idea with your dollars. So any single thing you want to build in this world, it can be tested before it can be built. And if you test it and it doesn't work, perfect. You just find out that there is an idea that people are not willing to buy and you didn't invest a lot of money into that. So it's a framework I want you guys to adopt. Anytime you think about the idea, just put a spreadsheet together. put out a Google Doc, just build a landing page. Let people go to the traffic, see how excited they are about it. If they are not excited, move on to the next idea before you can waste a lot of time into something that people don't actually want. Next, the best businesses are the businesses that reflect the nature and the character of the founder. So the best businesses are literally an extension of the founder. I've seen this a lot of time where people are building a product which they cannot be a brand ambassador of, which they cannot advocate for, which they cannot extend themselves into the business. And let me ask you a question. Imagine if Elon Musk were to leave Tesla today, the next day, would people buy more stock option from the Tesla, or would they sell the stocks? I bet they will sell. Why? Because Elon Musk is the brand for the Tesla himself. He's an extension of the product he's built. Yeah, and that becomes easy because if you find anyone driving a Tesla and you ask them if Elon Musk wouldn't exist, would they still drive a Tesla? Probably it will be a no, because it's the idea of a person that extends into a product that make people want to buy the product. So what am I trying to convince you? If you are an entrepreneur or want to go this route, you have no option but to build your personal brand that your business can leverage, where people can actually not distinguish you from your business. You become an extension of your business. If you're building a tech company, build your personal brand as an innovator. If you're if you're building a real estate company, build your personal brand as a person who's into estates. And the more you actually help your business leverage your personal brand, then your business gets to a point where it becomes bigger than your brand. But at the start, you cannot distinguish the two. And if you're building a startup and you are not an extension of it, it will be a difficult road. Naval Ravikant articulated this idea and it resonated with me. He said, you suck at selling, you are stuck in selling because you suck at marketing, you are bad at marketing because you suck at product building. And I would actually say that you are sucking at product building because you're sucking at personal branding. So they all fit together. If you do a good job at your personal brand, it will ease your product. If you do a good job at your product, it will ease the marketing. If you do a good job at marketing, it will ease your selling. So it's all cohesive, coherent, but you need to start from there. Embrace the idea of building your personal brand if you are actually looking to become an entrepreneur or if you are one. Now, another lesson that I learned from Seth Godin is the idea that when you're building a product, you need to have a crystal clear image of who is it for. If you ask a lot of entrepreneurs, who is it for? They say, I know this product is for everyone. This book is for everyone. This website is for everyone. That's a huge mistake. And I find it that we actually make something for everyone because we're finding a scapegoat for when it doesn't work. For everyone has not found it. You need, rather than building the biggest possible audience, build the minimum viable audience for the product. The people who will vote that product, advocate it, and push it forward. That's a tribe. It's the idea that people don't buy products, they belong to tribes. They become part of the tribes. And that's something you should actually try to embrace. Yeah? Pardon? So, a powerful idea you need to embrace there is just the idea that if I'm building a product, I need to become crystal clear. Who is it for? Who am I building for? And then you walk backwards, you engineer the features and the benefits to the person that it concerns. If in your mind you cannot wake up and articulate who is the avatar for your product, you're bidding for the masses and you will soon fail. Next idea, every single successful entrepreneur I've seen is a good storyteller. They can tell stories. You know, when we buy a product, a product that doesn't have a story is a commodity because people cannot relate to it. People cannot make sense of buying it. People cannot talk about it. And the only way ideas spread is through stories. You remember anything that you've bought that was worth your money, you actually went out and talked to your friends about it and you couldn't believe nobody has this product. Why? Because there is a story around it that is easy to share with others. And if you want to build a successful business, learn to tell stories. Stories that people can connect to, stories that people can relate to. And the only way to tell great stories is to master the art of articulating who is it for, what we said above, and then match it with intentions. What do they want and what's in their way? And how does the product bridge the gap of what's in their way? Lastly, I've never met an entrepreneur who is not a learner. They all are obsessive about learning how the world works, learning to understand the customers, learning to validate the market, but here's what they're good at. They're not good at learning by accumulating information. They're good at learning by doing. The best way you can learn is to learn by doing, because by definition, learning is an act of continuous failing on your way to figuring out what works. Yeah, failing your way to mastery. That's the art of learning. It's the serial incompetence on our way to getting better. That's the act of learning. And when you learn, you also learn to be coached. That's what I find about entrepreneurs. They're coachable. And here is how I found that coaching is actually different. So when you're being coached, coaching is not telling the answers to the person. It's about helping them see what they are capable of after understanding what are they aiming for, what's their goals. So it's about showing you the possibilities, yeah? And good coaching also consists of criticism, which is criticism is you are in a situation where a person has a domain knowledge about something and they're not looking to gain status by putting you down, and they help you see the world as it is, as reality. So they have constructive criticism, they're good at learning, and they're good at taking feedback and make it practical to their business. So if you are aspiring to be an entrepreneur, or if you are an entrepreneur, these are the lessons that stood out for me, and I hope they help you to get better every single day. And I'll find more, I'll share with you. That's what we do every day. So if you like this, share to your friends, like, comment, subscribe. Let's go. Cheers.